Previously on my What If universe, it was the Miami GP with Norris grabbing pole position and winning the race with the fastest lap with Ferrari. He is setting his dominance in this championship, but Ferrari may not be the fastest car in the next 6 races. Someone wants to join. Okay. In any case, today we're going to look from Imola to Silverstone to see what happens in my alternate F1 universe. If you like this kinds of videos, please like and subscribe. Go watch the previous 6 videos. This is a very interesting season. And go watch the driver lineup if you don't know who's where, like Norris to Ferrari, Leclerc to McLaren, and Hulkenberg at Red Bull. The news just dropped about Doohan being Alpine, which is very awesome. I'm so glad to see that. The stock really needs to chill out now. I'm just gonna put here. It's destroying everything. In any case, without any further ado, let's talk about the F1 What If season. Norris is at the moment is 21 points ahead of Hulkenberg in the standings, and Red Bull are 15 points ahead of Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. Let's go into the Imola GP. Hulkenberg grabbed pole position after a crazy qualifying where Alonso went off in the first qualifying session for Alpine. But in any case, in Q3, Hulkenberg got pole with the Red Bull. Norris was second, Magnussen third, Leclerc fourth, Stroll fifth, Hamilton sixth, Tsunoda seventh, Sainz eighth, Albon 10th, and Albon 9th, Ricciardo 10th. Piastri had a penalty, so he's not in the top 10. The race was quite interesting. It was a hard-fought battle between McLaren and Red Bull. The McLaren had the end of the race pace, and Leclerc and Stroll had a very good race, catching up to the Red Bulls, who couldn't stop them from overtaking them. Hulkenberg had a good start, but that wasn't good enough. A pit stop issue for Perez, and then he had a DNF. Hamilton made a few mistakes, and Leclerc made a mini mistake, but in any case, Leclerc still won the race. Starting from fourth, he had the fastest car, and he made the best of it. He finished first in the race, with Stroll, his teammate, in P2. Hulkenberg could only do a P3. Norris was fourth, Magnussen fifth, Tsunoda seventh with the fastest lap, Piastri seventh. Hamilton could only finish 8th. He did not have a good race. Zhou 9th and Ricciardo 10th. That means in the championship, Leclerc is second now with only 8 points behind Norris. This championship is starting to look very interesting. The next race, which was at the Monaco GP. In qualifying, Gasly got 9th. Sainz got 12th, but they both were disqualified, which means the top 10 looked like this. Norris got pole position in Ferrari at the Monaco GP, beating out the home hero there. Second place was Tsunoda, Stroll was third, Magnussen fourth, Piastri fifth, Leclerc sixth. He could only imagine to be sixth. Seventh was Bottas in the Racing Bulls. That was a very good qualifying. Ricciardo 8th, Albon 9th, and Russell 10th in the Alpine, which is a very good qualifying from him. The race started chaotically. Sainz got a puncture from debris. Magnussen and Tsunoda had a crash in the first corner. Stroll also involved, and he could not counter the crash that was there. Stroll was also involved, like I said, and behind, trying to avoid everything, Perez and Alonso had a crash while trying to avoid everything, and Ocon was also involved. He tried to squeeze Gasly, but Ocon flew in the air. And then there was a red flag, which means second, third, and fourth, all of them were out. So with the restart, they, of course, like in real life, they only had one pit stop they needed to do, which means Norris started first, and there was no driver in the second, third, or fourth spot. The only driver closest to him was fifth, which would have been the weirdest start ever, close to the Hamilton Hungary 2021 situation. So that means Norris got a very, very good jump no one behind him, so he stayed first. Sporting race, but he stayed first and he won the race. Leclerc, who was the third starter, finished second. Piastri was third with the fastest lap. Ricciardo fourth, Bottas fifth, Hamilton sixth, Russell seventh, Hulkenberg eighth, Albon ninth, and Sargent scoring a point with the Racing Bull team in 10th. And I forgot to tell you, Hulkenberg and Hamilton both had bad qualifyings in the Red Bull for some or other reason. Hulkenberg was 17th and Hamilton 12th. So in the championship standings, Norris is now 15 points ahead of Leclerc. Afterwards we went to Canada, which was another. So sorry for that. We went to Canada for another interesting race. There was an open qualifying penalty for the previous race, and both stake cars had to start on pit lane. Tsunoda got pole position, his first one of the year. Mercedes looking surprisingly quick in this round. Bottas was second in the Racing Bulls. That last qualifying session was very crazy with the rain and everything. Third was Piastri, fourth was Leclerc, fifth was Stroll, sixth was Sargent, Hamilton, Albon, Hulkenberg, and Gasly are the rest of the top 10. Norris is only 12th because Ferrari was dumb. And yeah, that's all I can say about that. Ricciardo had a jump start. Both Haas start on the wets, which looked like a genius plan, but didn't end in a genius plan. Norris had a mechanical failure, which means he's going to lose a lot of points. Hamilton made another mistake. Gasly was slow and then stopped. Verstappen made a rare mistake. Sargent crashed. So yeah, Norris DNF'd. Perez as well crashed. Sainz crashed with Zhou, both DNF'd. Russell made a mistake. Yuki, while he was third, had an off and he finished last of the runners. That was crazy. I hope you just crazy. And it was changeable conditions. It was a wet, dry race, I think. So that was just crazy. The winner after all of that was Hamilton. He started from 7th and he won the race with Red Bull, his first race win since I think in a few races. Piastri was second, Leclerc third, Hulkenberg fourth, Stroll fifth, Bottas sixth, Ricciardo 7th, Alonso 8th, Gasly 9th, and Magnussen 10th. Which means Norris and Leclerc are equal on points. 155 points for both of them. And yeah, Norris is still ahead because he has more race wins to his name. This championship is starting to look very, very interesting. After the Monaco GP, I forgot to tell you guys, Ferrari are ahead of Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship with 1 point. But after the Canadian GP, Ferrari dropped to P3 with McLaren second and Red Bull first. Then we go into the Spanish GP. Perez had a 3-place grid penalty, Sargent as well, and Perez had to start from the pit lane as well. So they chose to start him from the pit lane. In Q3, Piastri made a mistake and then he said no time. That means he will start P10. Leclerc got pole position in the McLaren. They look very quick, especially in qualifying. Stroll got second, Hamilton was third, Hulkenberg was fourth, Norris fifth, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Alonso, Verstappen, and of course Piastri is the rest of the top 10. Russell had a mega start, but in the slow car that he couldn't do that much. Piastri had a slow stop, Alonso made a mistake, and Yuki Tsunoda and Nico Hulkenberg both had a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Hamilton again won his second race in a row, starting from P3. Leclerc couldn't make the best of the car and he only got second place with the fastest lap. Hulkenberg finishing out the podium. He was just out of 5-second range of Norris, who was 4th, Tsunoda 5th, Stroll 6th, Piastri 7th, Verstappen in the stake getting a P8, getting his first points of the season, Magnussen P9 and Russell P10 with that good start. That means Leclerc is finally in the first place in the championship with Norris second. Hamilton overtakes Hulkenberg and Piastri is still 5th. Red Bull are still first with McLaren second and Ferrari third. Now we jump to the Austrian GP, which is a sprint qualifying and a sprint race. Perez had to start from pit lane once again, and Norris had no time in the sprint qualifying because there was something wrong with the car. That means he only starts 10th, 9th was Hulkenberg, 8th was Gasly, Sainz and Hamilton 6th and 7th, Piastri was 5th, Leclerc only 4th, 3rd was Stroll, Tsunoda was 2nd, and Magnussen surprisingly was 1st, which was very good from Magnussen. In the sprint, Hulkenberg had a very bad lockup. He crashed into another driver and had a 10-second penalty. So that means he wasn't even close to the top 10, with Leclerc winning the race from 4th. The McLarens just looked so quick. Tsunoda stayed a 2nd. Magnussen could only do 3rd. Piastri was 4th. Stroll was 5th. Norris 6th. Hamilton 7th. And Gasly 8th. Sainz was 9th, very close to the points, but that's the best they could have done. In the actual qualifying, Leclerc had a very bad last lap, and he went off, damaging his car and didn't set a good time, and Oscar had another time deleted, which means Hulkenberg had one of the best laps of his life, and he had pole position with Stroll 2nd, Tsunoda was 3rd, Norris 4th, Magnussen 5th, Hamilton 6th, Sainz 7th in the Haas, Leclerc was 8th, Piastri was 9th, and Bottas was 10th. In the race, on the first lap, Leclerc broke his front wing while he was trying to overtake Piastri. Alonso had a 10-second time penalty for crashing into Ricciardo. Hulkenberg had a long stop. Verstappen and Ocon came together. Ocon DNF. Verstappen got a puncture and a 10-second penalty. Albon a 5-second penalty, and Norris also a 5-second penalty. Hulkenberg dominated this race, being almost 20 seconds ahead of the driver in second, which was his teammate Hamilton. So it's a 1-2 for Red Bull. I think it's the first of the season. Norris could only do 3rd. Tsunoda was 4th. Stroll 5th. Piastri 6th. Magnussen 7th. Sainz finishing a very good 8th in that car. Russell 9th and Bottas 10th. Leclerc being only 11th because he couldn't make it up after that horrible first lap. Which means Norris is once again the championship leader, only 3 points ahead of Leclerc. Hulkenberg again overtakes Hamilton, and now Tsunoda is 5th place. Red Bull still looking very strong in 1st, McLaren in 2nd, and Ferrari in 3rd. The last race of this video is going to be the Silverstone Grand Prix, which was again another crazy race. This year is just amazing, real life and what if. Alpine had to Russell had to start in the back of the grid, and Perez had a pit lane start. In Q1, Perez crashed out. That's why he had a pit lane start, which is not very good from him. He sucks. So Stroll, surprisingly, in that changeable conditions, has pole position. Tsunoda was 2nd, Piastri 3rd, Hulkenberg 4th, Hamilton 5th, Sainz 6th, Leclerc only managing a 7th, Norris 8th, Magnussen 9th, and Zhou top 10. The Mercedes are looking very quick. Let's see what they can do in the race. The race didn't even start, and Russell had a DNF, and Piastri was doing so well. He was probably 2nd or 1st, and then he had a retirement, which means his teammate Yuki Tsunoda won the race. Yuki winning a race, his first since last year. Hulkenberg 2nd and Hamilton 3rd. Leclerc 4th with the fastest lap. Stroll from pole position could only do 5th. Ricciardo was 6th. Sainz, another great race from him in the Haas, in 7th. Zhou in 8th. Magnussen 9th. And Gasly in 10th. Leclerc once again is the championship leader, but now Hulkenberg is 2nd, Norris falling to 3rd after he finished out of the points. Sorry, I forgot to tell you, he finished out of the points. Not a good race from him. And Hamilton still 4th and Tsunoda 5th. There's only 9 points between the top 2, and Norris is 1 point behind Hulkenberg, and Hamilton only 4 points behind him. This is going to be a very interesting race to the end, and I can't wait to do the rest of the season. Let's quickly talk about real life. If this happened in real life, this would be crazy. This is just as good as it is in real life. But the championship is just a little bit more on because Hulkenberg and Hamilton, I don't think their starts of the season was as good as Verstappen's. So that's why they are closer in the championship. And Leclerc and Norris were just on top of the game in the beginning of the season. So that's why I think it's a much closer fight than it is in real life. If you enjoy this types of videos, please give a like and subscribe. I have not started with the other videos yet, but I will. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it greatly. Cheers.